Well, it looks like Better.com is back in the news again today, unfortunately also for layoffs. You'll remember that a couple of months back, they gained some notoriety for laying off 900 of their employees over a Zoom call. The CEO set up a call and let everybody on the call know, hey, if you're one of the unfortunate folks that's on this call, you are now laid off, right? So it was a big deal, got a lot of bad press because of how callous that it came across and how impersonal, and not the ideal way, obviously, to let folks go. I made a video about that at the time, which I will link at the end of this one, but something that came up today is 3,000 layoffs are announced that are going to happen at Better.com. So a lot of trouble in that company. My question is, are they doing it the right way this time? Obviously, they're not doing it over a Zoom call. They learned that lesson. But I would be very interested to hear from anybody who's connected to Better.com or who currently works there. Maybe you're affected or you know someone who is. And how was that handled? You know, leave a comment and let us know how you're feeling about that. I'm not a stranger to layoffs myself. I was actually laid off twice in my life. First, I had worked for a small company, about 20 people, for only about a year, and they lost a big client. It wasn't a client that I personally worked with, but it did affect their finances, and they had to call in the two newest employees. Unfortunately, I was one of those folks, and let us go. That was very stressful at the time. It was the first time that had ever happened to me, and I had two very young children with a third on the way, and I was making very little and living in an expensive area, unfortunately, and that was a stressful time. Luckily, though, I had already been looking around because I wasn't satisfied financially at that particular company and time, and so I had a few things in the works already. And before I started in my next job, I actually was able to do some telemarketing in the evening. And I know there's a lot of stigma with telemarketing, but let me tell you, it did pay the bills. Was able to make up the difference during the time when I was unemployed until I got set up with my new, real job, if you will, and then I quit the telemarketing gig at night. But I was grateful to have it when I did. And there's nobility in work, for sure. So anytime you are laid off, if you can do something, whether it's waiting tables, whether it's just helping customers in a capacity that you normally wouldn't consider, that's maybe you feel it's beneath you, well, there's definitely some value and nobility and encouragement that you can take, some satisfaction knowing you're contributing to your family, you're contributing to your livelihood in the meantime until you get set up with a job that you're applying for, really looking for, that better fits your qualifications. I was also laid off from another company later. After having worked there for several years, they closed down all of one division of their retail stores nationwide, and so that had impacted myself. I was a store manager there at the time. Now, luckily in that situation, I was able to get connected with somebody through LinkedIn who had reached out to me previously about a job for a different company. Luckily, I was given a lot of time before the layoff decisions were actually implemented, and so I had the opportunity to interview, to get connected with the right folks, to do what I needed to in order to be set up for a new job by the time that one was over. And I think total time that I was unemployed that second time was like one weekend. I mean, it was hardly any time at all, and I had some severance, so it actually worked out in my favor in the end, and I didn't look back. It worked out great. If you are an employee of Better.com, we'd love to hear from you and what your experience has been like. Perhaps you have a colleague that was impacted by the latest decision to lay folks off, or by the previous one that happened over Zoom, or perhaps you yourself were impacted. Well, we'd love to hear your story. If you want to see other videos, please like and subscribe. Check out my 5 principles of retail leadership, and looking forward to posting more content.